What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of the Real Deal podcast with Real Estate Investing School. This is your host, Brody Fawcett, and today we have a special guest, Daniel Kong. Daniel is the man. He's also living in Hawaii right now, and we met just recently, a couple weeks ago. Been super impressed by what he's doing. I followed you on Instagram way before that. And it's just so fun, dude. Just watching all the cool stuff you're doing is super exciting. And I feel lucky enough to be able to meet you in person and now to dive into a deal you've done in the next 20 minutes. So welcome to the show, dude.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm a big fan of yours too now after just hearing what you got going on, the whole move to Maui. I mean, like the lifestyle by design, man. I just love that concept as real estate investors being able to like quit our W-2s and then live the life that you design for yourself, which is so cool what we've been doing in Maui. So.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's fun. I think we both align there, super passionate about that. And how long has it been now that you've been investing in real estate? Because I know you're completely financially free and you quit your day job and went full time, but that was how long ago?
So my first like full year was 2019, so about 4.5 years. Yeah, 4.5 years.
4.5 years. Man, that's awesome. And do you and your wife do a lot of stuff together?
Here
Or
and there,
mostly you?
when we first started it, I tried to recruit my wife into it, but then it was like whenever we got into argument, it was always like the wife always got her way. So then like eventually I got demoted from like the deal. I mean the person in charge, and now I'm like her underling. So she's doing her thing and I'm doing my thing, and we're both happy right now. So yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's cool. That's same story with my wife and I. We used to have our thing, the flipping faucets, which is funny because we don't really flip a ton of houses anymore, at least. But yeah, she's transitioned more or less out of the day to day stuff, which is cool. She's happier not doing it, and I'm happier doing it. So it's been great. But dude, so this podcast is fun because I feel like there's so many shows out there where they're all great, but they get long and there's so many different angles. We like to kind of cut out a lot of the fluff on this so people can tune in and learn from one deal, specifically like diving into how you found the deal, how you funded it, and then ultimately how you forced it or got creative and turned it into a really good deal. And the whole purpose of us going over all of this is so people can replicate the process. Like I know you're big on that, on teaching and sharing, and so am I. And ultimately, we just want people to experience financial freedom like we've been able to experience through real estate. So
Love it. Yeah, let's get cracking.
let's do it, dude. So give us kind of like a 30,000 foot overview of the deal really quick. Just kind of give us roughly what it is and maybe some numbers on it, and then we'll dive in.
So this is like a Burr sub two hybrid house hack. It's like it has like all the different parts of it that you want in one. So basically, super rough numbers is we bought it for 660 subject to and seller finance. We put about 120,000 in the renovation. It appraised for 1.2 million. We refinanced out like 850 on a conventional loan that our mortgage is like $3,900 a month, and then we're renting it out for over 5,000 combined and the two different sides. So like, I mean, so it's kind of like a fourplex, but it's like a Burr house hack, sub two, like hybrid. And we can dive into like the real numbers and like the ins and outs as we go along. So.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. This is going to be a good one already. I can tell. So maybe talk about how you found it. Let's just start there.
Yeah, so I mean, when I was first starting investing in Hawaii, I built like a website. So it was like a carrot website, just like trying to get leads. Did some SEO and PPC, and so this was like a seller who was like in for pre-foreclosure, and he's reached out and said, "Hey, I want to like sell my house." And so we went out to him and had like a conversation, and that's kind of like how it started. He was talking to a few other investors, some realtors, and kind of like going over his options. But we were just like, "Hey, we just want to be like one of your options and see if we might be like a good fit for you." So that's how we found it.
That's awesome, dude. And I think it's so easy to like almost glance over that, like, oh yeah, it was just this easy thing that I did, and we just found this deal. And it's like, no, there's a lot of intention, a lot of work that went into building that, and like the foresight of doing that and setting it up that way. It goes a long ways. So it was an off market deal.
Yeah, off market deal. So
What
he
would you
was
go for it?
so he was in pre-foreclosure. So like the big pain points were there's a pre-foreclosure, and then he had like a he had a lot of stuff in his house. So like it was he was living in, there's a 4-2 on one side, and there was like half built house on the other side, which is like a 6-3, like a 3-2 upstairs and a 3-1 downstairs. But it wasn't finished. But then he just collected a lot of things over the years, had like a lot of stuff there, and so his dilemma was that he needed help to either sell the house, but then he also wasn't ready to move anytime soon. So like we were like, how can we solve this problem where this guy was like, hey, like he wanted to sell the house, but and kind of get out of the trouble, but then also wasn't ready to like move for the next 6 months to a year. You know, so like that was like
Yeah.
kind of the problem that we were trying to solve.
Cool. I love that. And I love that you said like the problem we were trying to solve, because 100% that's all real estate investing is. It's solving problems and it's creating win-win scenarios. It's like, how can I solve this problem that it solves it for you and it solves it for me, and we kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's
kind of like
awesome.
looking at the different options that he had on the table. He was talking to a couple other investors, another realtor, and so like the house at the time. So this was kind of crazy because it was in the middle of the pandemic. So it was like 2020, right in the middle, and there was like the world was kind of like turning upside down. So we were like, it was a big shaking time for like real estate and just like the world in general. And so
Yeah.
given like the pandemic situation, we thought the house would be worth fixed up maybe like about $1 million. But then
Okay.
like, but because it was like one side was unfinished, it was like the only one side was finished. It wasn't in great shape, and there was a lot of like deferred maintenance, etc. things to be completed. We think like if you're to sell it on the market on the MLS, you probably would sell it for maybe let's say 700 to 750, maybe like 720 as like a. So you probably buy it, you're gonna sell it to another investor, right? So you're gonna come in, list it on the market, 720 to 750. The realtor is gonna take the commission. He might walk away with like 670 to like 700 at the end of the day. So that was like option number one.
Okay.
Option number two that we presented with him was like, hey, we can come with a cash offer of 550 because we were looking like, let's say about 200,000 in repairs to fix the house up. So 550 cash offer, 200 in repairs, some holding costs, some realtor fees when we sell it at the million mark. So we could flip it, but we would come in with a 550 cash offer. So that was the first offer we presented to him. The second offer was this thing called Sub Two, which was I was just like I'm a big like YouTube guy, so I just like researching like YouTube like the creative financing. And I was watching on some like bunny trails and just like Sub Two financing. Oh, this is really interesting. So like I basically kind of self taught myself Sub Two from YouTube and just like reading on
Okay.
Google. And so like, hey, this thing would be another option where basically if we could buy it for like a little bit more because it takes away all the holding costs and the risk. And so the reason why we have to buy these things so cheap on a cash offer is because let's say on $1 million house, you hold it for a year, you're paying 100 grand in just holding costs. And then let's say like permitting takes longer, et cetera. That 100 could easily turn into 150 or more, depending on how long you have to hold the property. And so the holding costs on these fix and flips are like very like big and real. But if you buy this property over subject to, which basically means take away the mortgage, then like anytime you're paying that mortgage, you're actually paying equity into the house, and essentially your like holding cost is essentially zero at that point in time. So it takes away a big risk and like cost factor, so we can pay more for the house. We said, hey, cash offer is 550, but we can do a subject to at 650 if this is something that you're interested in. So that was kind of like the options that we presented him. The realtor is like 7 to 750. We've got a cash offer at 550, and then the third option is like we can do a subject to at 650. So that's
Okay. And
that's
when you say you presented these, this was first offer, second offer. Is this all at the same time? You said, "Hey, I can do this or this or this," or was it once you went under contract, then you gave them another offer?
No, it was like during like kind of like the negotiation process. We know it's funny. It's a funny story actually. When I went there to talk to him, I was friends with this other investor, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" So I guess I mean he was just lining them up, right? So you go on the website, you fill out like 10 forms, whatever, and then like all the realtors and the investors kind of come through, make their pitch or whatever thing for the deal, right? And so like we're one of many
Yeah,
guys. It's funny that I saw another buddy like exiting as we were kind of coming into the house and having our appointment. So.
that's awesome. Well, I mean, maybe you'll get into it, but like, why did he choose? If there are multiple offers, why did he choose yours over somebody else's?
So I think like one of the things is that I mean, I think building rapport and building trust and credibility is a big part. Just making sure that people can trust that you're going to be able to finish what you start, right? And so, but another thing is, I think we uniquely solved his problem. So the way that we worked at the Sub Two is that we said, hey, we know you got a lot of stuff here, maybe not maybe too ready to move yet. We'll work out a deal where we will buy a Sub Two for 650, and then, sorry, is this? Turn this. Is that my? Sorry, my yeah. Let me turn this.
That's okay.
So
That's
that's
probably my fault too.
so the thought process was that we would buy it sub two for 650, but we would allow him to live there for 6 months more, like rent free, right? So during that time, we would catch him up with all his payments, make sure like the mortgage is all up to date, etc. Like, and then we would allow him to stay there, like during the time while we were fixing flipping the house. So you basically have like 6 months to live rent free, figure out where he can move to rent or to buy somewhere else, and then also kind of like take his time moving. So it was kind of like the best of both worlds, where he's gonna get probably the same that he would get on the market, but then he also got basically like a free 6 months to a year worth of just living and taking his time to kind of move.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So good. And it's just like you were able to solve the problem and get creative, and a
Mhm.
lot of people aren't willing to get that creative to solve the
Mhm.
problem. So maybe tell us ultimately, how did you fund all this and what did it look like from there?
So there was about so there was about 500 left on the mortgage. So we sub to the 500, and there's about maybe like 50 grand worth of arrears that we paid in cash. And then there was probably like 150 more of just to make up that to get to the 650, or we actually ended up going 660, but we so instead of like giving him that lump sum up front, we said like, hey, what if we paid you that lump sum at the back end when we actually sell the house? So he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. I don't need the money right now. Let's just do it where we'll write a second lien contract where we would just to like the sub to the 500, we'll pay their arrears immediately. That's a 50 grand. And then we'll do the sub to, I mean, seller finance for the rest of it. And then which would be paid when we actually end up on the exit. So that's how we funded the
Oh,
property. We also need to raise some money for on the rehab, which we just have a small network of private lenders. And so we just raise that with private money lenders.
okay. Sweet. Awesome. And I think that, I mean, this is good because you can go so deep with all of this, which is, yeah. I mean, and a lot of it depends on it because, I mean, you talk like, oh, yeah, I just got private money, or like, yeah, I just got a hard money loan from lenders. When a lot of people have never done that before, it's like, what? You did what? How did you do that? What, like, where do you even start? That's crazy, right? Any just like backing up a little bit, any advice to anybody that needs to go and establish relationships with hard money lender or private money lender, where would you say to start?
Well, so the good thing about this deal is it took zero hard money, right? Because we did a sub two over the 500, so we didn't have to raise
Okay.
any hard money. We just had to raise the private money, and I just the private money came from just a few deals that we did like before. We kind of built up a small track record of just like success, and we just like pitched to our friends and family, say, hey, like this is what we got going on. Would you be interested in lending? It's like a 12% interest, and it's a flat rate, and it's a secured by real estate, and so just like a practicing a little bit about your pitching, like your potential lenders, and just kind of educating them on the advantages of investing in real estate versus like let's say the stock market or whatever else that you're investing in. So it's secure, steady. You get like monthly cash flow. So you invest, let's say like 200,000 in this case, then you get $2,000 a month till the project is finished, and just like secured by real estate. So it's pretty secure, and it's like a fixed rate on your return. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. No, I just love touching on that because it's
mhm.
it's easy for you now, right? But it's really
Yeah,
hard for people in the beginning. And I don't even think it's, and I love the way you explain it because it's like a lot of times we view it as, oh, they're doing me this big favor by lending me money, and it's like, no, it's this is very secure. It's backed by real estate. This is the return that you're getting. You make money before I make any money. Like it's very, very
yeah.
risk averse, right? And so,
I tell my friends all the time that once I retire and I've got, let's say, like 3 or 4 million just sitting in the bank, I'm just gonna lend that money to all my friends and just live out the passive income. So let's
yeah,
say I've got 4 million in the bank and I lend it to all my flipper friends. That's 40 grand a month for me doing nothing, right? It just and then helping them to get
yes,
their deals or whatever. So it's a very like secure like way to like make passive income as long as you trust the operator. I think.
yeah, I love that. No, I'm glad you touched on that. So maybe tell us kind of how all this ended, what it looks like for you, and I mean, ultimately, how you forced the deal, how you got creative. I think you touched on a lot of those pieces, but like, just kind of wrapping all of it up. What does it look like now for you? Did you hold on to this? Do you have it right now, or did you flip it and sell it?
So actually, like we because it was one of our early deals, we budgeted for like both sides of the thing to be renovated, but we actually only renovated one side, And then we partially renovated one side and we fully renovated the other, or built it up because it was unfinished. And then me and my wife did a lot of the work. So like the flooring, cabinets, plumbing, a whole bunch of stuff. Like we subbed it out, so we saved a lot of money in that end as far as just we
Yeah.
did like a lot of the work ourselves. And then so like the total renovation came out to be only like 120,000, even though we budgeted 200,000. So we made some savings over there. And then we like during that time, during that year, like the market started to go crazy, like upwards. And so like it's we kind of got lucky in that regard where our original ARV was 1 million, but after we finished the project, then the new the value was about 1.2 million. So that's where we were like, hey, like maybe this is something that we can actually like keep long term because there's enough equity to refinance and still like have like and be able to like to keep it, you know. And so
Yeah.
the time we are living, we're still like kind of new in our investing careers. I've never owned like my own primary house. I bought like a bunch of rentals and burrs, but I was still renting like in a basement for like $1,000 a month at like somewhere in town. So like we are like, hey, like what if this be our primary? So we actually refinanced that out with an owner occupied loan at like a 3% rate or something. So we put out 850 in cash. Part of it was to pay off the existing mortgage. Part of it was to pay off like our private money lenders, and the rest of it we got to just keep and pocket it, tax free, right? Because when you take out a loan, it's tax free. So our
Yeah.
mortgage is 3,900 with this like great interest rate, and then our downstairs is renting like 30. I mean, it's 2,600, and across there's a 2-1 and a 2-1. The 2-1 up top is renting for 2,500, and the bottom is just we're just leaving vacant because I just don't want to have too many people like in the house, basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, it's a 3,900 rent. I mean mortgage, and then 5,000 in just like in rent from between the two, kind of like on the other parts. So it's kind of like built like a fourplex.
Wow. That's legit. So you live in one unit, one's vacant, and then you rent out the other two that more than covers your mortgage.
Yeah, yeah. And this, I mean, this is the 3-2 that we're living in right now. So it's
Yeah, that's great, man. That's so cool. Especially doing it in one of the most expensive markets in
Mhm,
the
mhm.
nation. I love that. That's kind of like my house right now. I have like a separate studio, and it's great for
Mhm.
when family comes, and I'm in it right now because I can use it as an office. So it accomplishes both. But dude, so cool. So was it hard finding? So you actually pulled out cash and
Mhm.
you refinanced it into primary residence loan. How much cash did you say you pulled out?
Like 20, 30, something like that. Like after paying off all the private money lenders and the rehab and all that, like yeah, everything.
Yeah, yeah, not bad. Make money and then
Mhm.
make money every single month. And then
Yeah, yeah.
and then what's crazy is when you move out, you can rent out your unit for how much?
Probably about 3 grand, I'd say. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So then you'll be cash flowing a good chunk of change even more above and beyond what you're at right now. So
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
man. That's awesome. What a unique deal that you had to get creative, dive into to figure
Mhm.
out. And I think like the a lot of people would be scared of that, maybe because of the purchase price or just like, oh, I've never done subject to before. There's a lot there. Like that's kind of scary. But diving into it now and then now the way you're set up, it's very, very you're in a way better situation than somebody else that's even renting, right?
I was
And
I was I
paying.
was super scared, man, when I was doing it. I was like it was like the whole process was scary, like, going on seller appointments, trying to put the deal together, trying to like understand the whole subject to process, like all the different ins and outs. Like for me, I mean, like it was very, very scary, but just like taking one step at a time, trying to educate and learn as much as you can. And in retrospect, I wish that I kind of like asked for some help during this time from some more experienced investors, because that would have saved me a lot of headache. But it also is something to be said about just figuring it out on your own, because the lessons you learn is also like you keep them more too, like, so
Yeah, yeah, 100%. YouTube's a great teacher sometimes.
university, bro, that's where I got like most of my real estate education.
Oh, that's so cool. So, what would you say if you had to kind of summarize everything? What's the number one thing you learned from doing this deal? And then the follow-up question to that is what advice would you give people that are going out to try and maybe do something similar?
I think probably the number one thing I learned was just realizing that it's like you mentioned earlier, it's all about solving problems. And whenever you're looking at like a specific situation, like that has like money to be made or profit, you're always trying to solve some kind of problem. And then the better you are at putting together the tools to like kind of like solve the problem, the more that you can either maximize either the profit for like the seller and yourself, or all the partners who are involved, and just being able to be able to like creatively think about the different kind of things that are involved, and then having the right tools in place to kind of like to put the puzzle together.
Yeah.
And the
Love that.
advice I'd say is just educate yourself as much as you can. I mean, listening to things like this, actually, like listening to Bigger Pockets when I was first starting, I listened to like 300 episodes, and every time somebody told a story about their deal, I learned or picked up a little small thing. Hopefully, as somebody is listening to this story, they'll pick up like a little nugget here and there on their journey and help them to solve the problem that they're trying to solve in like their situation or specific situation, you know.
Yeah, 100%, dude. No, that's how I learned a lot too. Same exact thing. And it's almost like learning by osmosis in a way. You just consume as much content as you can, and it's not all going to stick, but a lot of it will. And then the next step is to actually implement it and act on it. But a lot of times, like fear, it's just the only thing fear is lack of education and lack of knowledge. And the more you start to know, like the less scary it is. You know, you think about like when the lights are off at night and you get scared, the reason you're scared is because you don't know what's in the dark. You know, all of a sudden, like if someone were to tell you, or you turn the lights on and you're like, oh yeah, that's what's in the dark. It's just this, like all of a sudden you're not scared anymore because you know and you understand. And so, and then that's the whole nother step of actually taking the action on it and jumping off the ledge. So
Yeah, just educate until you feel comfortable, then take the next step, and then educate. Take that. It's kind of like incremental, right? And then as you take the steps, you're gonna have like different kinds of questions, and it'll just kind of like open up you to like just even more opportunities that you didn't realize were available as you kind of take the steps that you're taking. So
100%, dude. Yeah. So good. I love it. Anything else before we wrap this thing up? Any last minute advice or anything you leave the audience with?
no, just follow this dude on Instagram and then watch his podcast because he's fire.
Dude, you're the man. Where's the best people that aren't already following you on here? Where's the best place for people to connect with you? Follow your
Probably
journey.
Instagram, Daniel Kong 808 on Instagram. I'm also like on TikTok and Facebook, Daniel Kong 808, but my primary is just usually Instagram. So
Sweet, brother. Yeah. Go follow Daniel. Something I always like, you always stick out for, and I don't know, it's just because one of your videos that went viral, but tell everybody as we wrap this thing up what you did with some of your cash flow.
well, we bought a Lambo recently, so I mean, like whatever. I mean, just yeah, we just have a good time with it. So you know.
Yeah, I love it. It's cool. It's a cool story where it's just like, hey, I bought a Lambo, but I didn't pay for it. Real estate paid for it. So
Yeah, no, exactly.
but you did it in the right order. Most people do it the wrong order. They buy the Lambo and then they're like, I'm trying to get into real estate, but they're tied down with these payments or whatever it is. So it's all about the order and the right process. Sweet, brother. Well, thanks so much for jumping on. Thanks for taking time. You guys that are watching live, thanks for taking the time to watch live. And yeah, dude, appreciate you. And once again, go out, take some action, take some of these nuggets and go apply it in your real estate. You don't get anywhere just from sitting here learning. You got to go take action on it. So much love. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.